Welcome to the Do Good X podcast, a sanctuary from the entrepreneurial grind. Hosts Kimberly Danielle and Stephen Lewis, advocates for impactful entrepreneurship, guide you on the path where purpose meets business. Join us to slow down, reconnect, and explore the challenges of under-resourced entrepreneurs, uncovering the unique journey of building businesses that make a difference. Now, your host.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Do Good X podcast. My name is Kimberly Danielle, and I am a community builder, a coach, and a communication strategist who comes from generations of faith-driven entrepreneurs and leaders who believe that our purpose should drive us to contribute to the common good. And I am excited that you are here with me today. This is just going to be a brief episode. It's just me having a conversation with you. And so I appreciate you being here. Today, we are going to just have a conversation about the importance of community, particularly as entrepreneurs. It's been an ongoing conversation with people who I've connected with in the entrepreneurial space, who are founders themselves, who are even investors, folks who are aspiring entrepreneurs, and people who just really desire to have a strong sense of community because the journey can be challenging. So I'm specifically going to focus on entrepreneurs in this conversation today and to just provide some practical steps to building the support system that you feel like you need and you want to create for yourself, for your journey. We do have an earlier episode. This was very early on in our season. I believe it's episode 3, where we chatted a little bit about the importance of community to support entrepreneurial success. So you can always go back and listen to that episode. And in that episode, I mentioned how fellows and founders who are a part of the Do Good X Startup Accelerator program, they talk about community as being one of the greatest assets that they have leaving our program. And I think that is just a reflection of the larger field of entrepreneurs and what we all are looking for. Community can provide a source of resilience. It can help you see that you are not alone. It can give you a place of belonging. And it can also just give you a competitive advantage as an entrepreneur because, let's keep it real, we can go further when we are not alone. And it is a resource pool. So 3 key steps to really building the support system are these: identify, engage, and build. So when I say identify, I'm talking about connecting with the right people. When I'm talking about engaging, I'm talking about talking to not only the right people, but getting outside of your comfort zone, because some of us get stuck in our little box and don't want to leave out of that, even if we desire to connect with people. So kind of push yourself to get there, and then build. I'm going to chat a little bit about that in a moment. But to get more into identifying, what are the best types of communities that you thrive in to connect with folks? There's online, there's in person, there's networking events, there's one-on-one conversations. What's most important is that you're finding these established communities with like-minded people and these places that address the topics and provide the resources that you are looking for. And all of us have particular ways that particular types of communities that we want to show up in. So for me, I like more kind of intimate conversational spaces versus big networking events. I do not like going into big networking events. It's not my jam. So you have to figure out what are the best spaces for you, where the people you want to connect with are going to be. And then when you are engaging, you show up, you be present, and provide a sense of reciprocity. So what I mean by that, I have had many conversations lately with folks who have asked me, well, what is the best way to build relationships toward a specific goal? And I always say, and I will say it here too, because building relationships is a part of building community. I always go into building relationships and building my community with a sense of reciprocity, meaning that I'm not going in with an agenda, looking to just get something from somebody. I'm going into with a sense of curiosity to learn about the human, to learn about their story, what they're up to, what they're looking for, and how our stories intersect with one another. And then from that, what is it that I can give to this person, whether it's just as basic as being a conversation partner, but it might be something more. And then from that, what typically happens is that people are interested in learning my story or learning how they can support what I'm up to. Ultimately, I go into it just curious about the person, and I stay open to what's going to happen next. So I encourage you to, think about that, figure out what works for you. But for me, I know going into communities or wanting to build my community with a sense of reciprocity has always been meaningful to me and to the other people that join my community. And I would say for you introverts out there, because I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, and I hear quite a bit from entrepreneurs that they are introverts, it can be overwhelming to network and to build community. I want to say that. But I've also heard that so many people desire that. So I'm going to speak for a moment to my fellow introverts. I know all of you out there are not introverts. And let's talk about how you can build community and thrive in it while taking care of yourself. And these are some of the things that have worked for me. Doing one-on-one outreach and conversations with folks with shared values that I have, who I find synergy with. And these one-on-one conversations kind of just alleviate the pressure of going into big spaces with tons of people so that I can just focus on that conversation. And typically this yields better results for me, connectedness with people, and a support system. And then the other thing I would say is to focus your engagement on more intimate conversations. So maybe it's not one-on-one conversations. Maybe it's small gatherings of people. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to volunteer and host dinners with tech professionals and founders at some Black-owned restaurants around Atlanta. And it was a group of 10 or less people. And it was amazing. So many people appreciated that intimate setting in order to really get to know people and to remove the pressure from being at these larger gatherings where they people felt like they got lost, or they didn't necessarily feel like connecting with a whole bunch of people, and it got overwhelming. So focus on these more intimate kind of spaces that go beyond just these one-on-one conversations. Now, if you want to go to a large gathering, they can be very beneficial. I would recommend, if you're an introvert, to get there earlier, to have the space and time to kind of get adjusted to the space versus walking into hundreds and hundreds or thousands of people, which can automatically be overwhelming. So you are inviting in the people in those spaces versus walking into those spaces and trying to find people to connect with. Then I would say give yourself the opportunity to take breaks, to recharge, and lastly, step outside your comfort zone. So talk to people, get outside of your comfort zone, maybe go to a different type of event that you wouldn't have gone to previously. And getting clarity about the people that you want to show up for you. Ultimately, through identifying and engaging in these spaces, gain clarity about the people that you want to have on your team and whose team you want to be on. And that will help to narrow your focus on who you want to be a part of your community and who you invite to your team. There is a woman named Kathryn Finney, and she has a book called Build the Damn Thing, which I highly recommend you going out and getting her book. And Kathryn is a founder. She is an investor. She is so many things. So you should definitely check her out and learn more about her. I mentioned her because one of the things that she mentions in her book is about building a personal advisory board. Now, I'm going to share what she says when she talks about personal advisory board. A lot of people think about advisory boards for a business, but that's not what she's talking about. She's talking about a personal advisory board for the human that is behind the business. And so when you are building community, seeing who you want to have on your team, is important that you find folks who they're not necessarily thinking about your business. They're thinking about you as the person, your personal life, your entrepreneurial endeavors, your leadership, and who is going to be honest with you to tell you not necessarily what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Kathryn talks about doing even a personal SWOT analysis to get clear about your strengths and weaknesses that will help you think about who you should invite into your community so that it can speak to some of the challenges or weaknesses that you might possess or see that you have. And ultimately, she talks about the people that you should have in your community, in your support system, and these categories: a BS meter, which I would say is a truth teller, that person that is just going to keep it real, regardless of, how you might feel about it, or if it's something you want to hear or not. They are going to tell you the truth. And then a motivator. And I see that as your hype person, the person that is just going to hype you up when you need that, and really kind of inspire you and motivate you. Next, a listener. Somebody who is there to just listen to you when you are going through things, when you are facing challenges. And sometimes we don't necessarily need somebody who's going to tell us what to do. We just need somebody to listen, a listening ear. And that is so important in entrepreneurship, to have somebody who can understand you, is not going to be judgmental, ask a question, listens well. A personal comedian is the last category of a person that she says should be in your support system. And I think this is important too, because at the end of the day, we all need laughter. The entrepreneurial journey can be isolating, can be lonely. A lot of people can be in that valley and get stuck. And a comedian or a personal comedian can help to lift you up among these other folks that are in your community. And so, I just want to encourage you to build that community that you need for your support. If you don't have it, I'm sure many of you who are listening, you may have it, or maybe you don't have it to the extent that you desire. And some of you may not have it at all. So I invite you to get out into these spaces and places where you can meet some folks who can see you, can provide insight, can support you, who understand the entrepreneurial journey and can really speak to that in the ways that they show up for you. I invite you to engage, get outside of your comfort zone, especially if you're uncomfortable in spaces where you're interacting with people. Get outside of your comfort zone to build that community. And then look at building your personal advisory board. I am most positive that if you do those three things, that you will be in a better space to build a business. The community will be one of your greatest assets, one of your greatest resource pools, and will help you to bounce back when you hit roadblocks, because that will happen in entrepreneurship. It will happen in your personal life that may impact your business or you as an entrepreneur. And we all need that. So go out there, get your community, build your community, be present with other people. And if you want some place to start, an easy place for you to start, you can go to dogoodx.org and join our LinkedIn community for entrepreneurs and change makers. So here we provide tools, resources, and connections for your journey. And I would be more than happy to connect with you and to be a resource for you, to be a listener for you. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a direct message, because we all need one another. You should not be in this journey alone. I hope you join us again next time. And until then, be well and do good.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.